You know why? Why?
Free money. You understand what I'm saying?
Hey, welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. This is your Real Estate Chalk Talk. 612-627-8000 is the number to call. HittnerGroup.com, Hittner Group, all one word, HittnerGroup.com. Okay, Kelvin, what's going on in the markets?
Well, I'll get there. I got a couple questions for you. So just got done talking with Gasson, on the associations. So I got a client looking in St. Paul at condos.
Okay.
Why in the world would I be seeing association dues of $900, $1,500 a month on some of these bigger high-rise condos?
Are they new buildings or old buildings?
Older. Well, I don't know. Aria, that building downtown St. Paul. There's a handful of them in that. And, it's kind of cool. You're up 30 stories, beautiful views, all this. But it's like, holy cow. And the price was reasonable, right? So he sent it to me. I'm like, $350? $390, I'm like, wow, that's awesome. Association, $1,293.
Right. Well, can you imagine? Just look at this. You're up on your 30th floor.
Mm-hmm.
How tall of a building is it?
40 some story.
So what does it cost to properly maintain a 40-story building?
$22.
Yeah, it costs a lot. It costs a lot. And not only does it cost a lot just on an ongoing basis, but they need to be reserving a grip of money, because when they have to do major renovations or major repairs in that building, we're talking millions of dollars in repairs. So that's part of it. Other condos like that in those associations, they seem like they've got their health clubs, they've got their
outdoor
car washes, they've
outdoor
got
grilling area,
recreational
pool outside.
areas, and all that costs money to maintain, and it just all goes back in the dues. So it suppresses the purchase price of the unit somewhat.
Yep.
Somewhat, I'm going to say, because the people who live in there can afford to spend that kind of money. But I mean, it's just everything costs more.
Right.
And now your real estate taxes are built into all of that, and so everything is all built in. I mean, I look at my house, for example, with no mortgage. I live in the big town, so with no mortgage, between real estate taxes, insurance, and utilities, just those three, it's $3,000 a month.
Well, that's what I'm talking.
And I haven't got any maintenance in there.
Right. Well, and that's what I'm talking to this client about, just because he's like, okay, so if I pay this off, I still have taxes, which were $11,000. Right. So say $1,000 a month there.
Yep.
So he's at $2,200.
Yep.
Regardless, like, hey, high five, you
paid
off your house.
That's the cheap part.
And it's still $2,200.
Yeah.
So what?
Yeah, I know it.
I don't know.
So
maybe that whole tent community deal that they do on this
is
side,
sounding good.
Not that bad.
You talk about affordable housing with the affordable housing crisis that we have. It is real. It's real for the working stiff, the blue collar guy that gets up in the day and puts on his work boots and goes to work. I mean, it's hard because the prices are getting just out of line. I mean, they're just.
Well, think about even retirement, right? So, I mean, you're in a position where you probably could retire if you wanted to now. I look at it, quite a few years out. Yeah, but I look at that and go, okay, even at retirement, you're still going to have a house obligation, because I don't know, maybe I was just wrong, but growing up, you kind of figure like, well, get your house paid for. Yeah. Now, like, okay, no housing expense.
No housing. Well, it's still
$2,000 to $3,000 a month.
You're always going to have utilities. You're always going to have maintenance. You're always going to have
your property taxes, all that.
Tax and stuff. But it's a matter of how you want to retire and what you want to live in when you retire. And so many people retire, they stay in their big house, and it's like they don't need that big house. It's more of an emotional thing than it is a need base. I did a walkthrough the other night with a client of ours, mutual client of ours, and it's a condo. And I walking through this, and I said, Sheila and I are so, when it comes to this stuff, housing stuff, we're so different, because we stay in the big toilet, I call it, because she wants to, right? Because I could live here in this little one-level condo. It's got a nice kitchen, it's got a nice living area, fireplace, and a bedroom. I don't need anything else, because I'm not there half the time anyhow. When I am, I'm working. So what do I need all these extra rooms for that I never go into? And for her and for many people, it's a just in case deal. Well, but the kids come home for Easter. Like we'll have all the kids over at the house
Mhm.
on Easter, and they love it, and it's great, and all that
Yeah.
stuff. But that's a real expensive day when you amortize the cost of maintaining that property for 12 months for that for 5 holidays
Yeah.
essentially.
They better really, really enjoy it,
They
right?
better have. I better see smiles on everybody's faces, or I'm going to be upset. Yeah.
Well, let's talk mortgage real quick. Rates continue to hold pretty steady last week. We're still running that 30-year fixed numbers right in that mid sixes range. So we're kind of right there. We're kind of holding steady, which is a good spot to be. but we're finding that there was some upward pressure, again this week, but we're maintaining and we're doing okay on that front. And I just wanted to kind of address one thing that we ran into, and I see so much on social media. The difference between brokers and kind of what we are as a correspondent lender. And man, we get a lot of pushback like, oh, brokers are cheaper, or brokers are this, brokers are that. Man, had another example this past week where we got the deal last Friday, so a week ago today. A client, I called him just following up and goes, oh man, yeah, we actually bought, but and we actually got this proposal from this broker. They're supposedly really competitive. I get the stuff. Just like your son and daughter,
Mm-hmm.
or daughter and your son-in-law, we crushed it.
Mm-hmm.
But they said, but we've only got a week because we close 2 weeks from today, and I need a final commitment for underwriting next Friday, which is today when we're recording the show.
Right.
Well, we got our clear to close yesterday. We're done in a week. So clear to close, everybody posts, oh, clear to close in 5 days. It's not that hard,
Mm-hmm.
right? So let's not it's not that hard to do.
It's not that hard to do when all of your back end is in house.
Well, yeah, Well,
For a broker,
broker, you don't
shipping
know
it
where
out, they don't know what's going
where
on.
it's going for sure.
Yeah.
So done in a week. We're clear to close today. So we send the letter to the real estate
Yep.
community that just feels more comfortable when
Right.
that is, and then we'll close next week. And we beat the crap out of them on rate. So I want to blow up that myth that brokers are cheaper than we are. They're not. They come in high.
I don't know
right?
how it can be. For me
Mm-hmm.
thinking about it, how can it be cheaper? Because you've got the company, the actual company
Mm-hmm.
that's doing the loan,
Right.
and then you've got another company that's the broker shop,
Mm-hmm.
and then so they're essentially the sales force.
Right.
All right, so that's an add-on expense.
Mm-hmm.
So that's got to be built into something.
Right.
And it's either going to be built into closing costs or points,
Rates or fees, right?
Rates or fees.
Yep. So that's where it comes, and then they always come back, just like they did with your daughter and son-in-law, and go, "Oh no, we can get better, we can do better."
Yeah.
Like, come on, just be good up front. This is where we're at. We're at 6.5, right? So mid sixes. I have to say mid sixes, not 6.5.
Sure.
Otherwise, you have APR stuff.
Yeah.
But so mid sixes, and it was just really fun to see, and I'm going to make sure that we get that message sent out. So that people know, like, we are really competitive. And then we also had a deal that came out, best mortgage lenders in all these different categories, and best for first-time home buyers was loanDepot was awarded. This was a Wall Street Journal survey that was done, and the reason they gave that to us is ability to walk through it, thin credit, lower credit score stuff, and we always talk about, like, we can get almost anything done. Like, if it can get done, we're going to find a way to get
Right.
it done. And was really compelling in terms of the survey, in terms of what we were able to do and get things done. So it's kind of nice to get recognized on that front as well. And I think a lot of it too is our in-market. It's kind of funny. I had a recruiting call this week from the other big name. There's two big names in lending. We're one of them. The other one's the rocket ship, and all that. And they're like, hey, we're really trying to recruit, and we're going to go in-house with people. They're going to do in-market now. So they're seeing the model that loanDepot did and said, hey, we can be this big company, but we need in-market professionals to actually capture that business. And so it's been really interesting to just hear, and it's kind of always fun to hear everybody's pitch. And it's just pretty tough to compete with what we can offer the client.
There's so much to be said about that, Kelvin, because as a real estate agent, when I have an offer come in on a property and I get the letter from the mortgage company, and it's essentially an 800 number, and the buyer is like, well, who's your loan officer? And they really don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they name the company,
Right.
but they don't know who's
They don't know who.
who.
Yeah.
And that's a little unnerving.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
know? And then when you're sitting there with 50 offers, guess what? That's one that gets eliminated.
Yeah. Which isn't
It's uncertainty.
Yeah, it's uncertainty, right?
Yep.
So when you're looking at offers, what are the things you look at first? Is it the price? Is it the weigh? Is it the inspections? Like what things? We have about a minute
Depends.
left. But
It's
kinda
all
what
of
are
the
you
above. So first thing, obviously, we're going to look at the financials and
Yep.
see which one is financially the best thing in price and terms. Then we're going to look at if there's an opportunity. We're going to look at mortgage financing to see what kind of loan, because we're going to always go with a better loan than a more risky loan. And then finally, it gets down to this one is cash and this one is a 20% conventional. Well, the seller's going to get cash at the closing table anyhow, so that's not much of a risk. Depending on the price point, if it's a cash or 20% conventional with a gap coverage clause in there for the appraisal,
Yeah.
now you've just now become the same as a cash. I mean, there's a lot of stuff to look at. It isn't always just price.
Well, give me a call if you want to have a conversation on the money side. 651-231-2500. We always love to have the conversation.
That's it for this week on Your Real Estate Chalk Talk. We'll see you next week.
You've been listening to Your